The floorboards don't creak. That's the first thing Briar notices as she slips through the shadows of the Alpha's bedroom. 6 years of training have taught her to move like smoke, and tonight, all that practice will finally pay off. Her fingers tighten around the hilt of her blade, its surface gleaming with the poison she'd carefully applied hours earlier. One cut. That's all it will take. One precise cut while he sleeps, and the most dangerous shifter in the territory will be dealt with. The moonlight streaming through the tall windows casts everything in silver, making the massive 4-poster bed look like an altar. And there, sprawled across dark sheets like he doesn't have a care in the world, is her target. His face, all masculine lines from his strong jaw to the straight line of his nose, is relaxed in sleep. He looks harmless, completely, utterly human. Briar frowns. She knows what shifters are. Savage beasts who wear human faces to lure in their prey, who pretend to be civilized when they aren't. But seeing one now, with his chest rising and falling in peaceful rhythm, no, she has to focus. She forces herself to think of her parents, the house fire that claimed them when she was 16. The way the coven found her, broken and alone, and explained the truth, that it hadn't been an accident, that shifters had killed them just like they'd killed so many others. This is for them, for every child who will never have to lose their parents to these monsters, for every witch who will sleep safely knowing one less beast walks the earth. Briar creeps closer, her magic humming beneath her skin like a second heartbeat. But the Alpha looks younger than she'd expected, is the thing. Pathetic, she sighs inwardly. He's dangerous. She raises the blade. The poison will work fast before he can call for help. One quick motion and his eyes snap open, startlingly blue. For a heartbeat that stretches into eternity, they just stare at each other. Her, poised above him with a weapon in her hands. Him, blinking up at her with an expression she can't read. Then, impossibly, he smiles. Not a grimace of fear or a snarl of rage. A genuine smile, soft and almost pleased. Her heart does something stupid. A little skip that makes heat rush to her cheeks, and the unexpected reaction enrages her. She snarls and drives the blade downward, but his hand shoots up, fingers wrapping around her wrist with inhuman speed. "No," he says quietly, his voice deep and rough with sleep. "I don't think so." She fights his grip, twisting and pulling, but he's stronger than he looks. Much stronger. His fingers are like steel bands around her wrist, and the heat of his skin burns against hers. The blade tumbles from her fingers, clattering harmlessly to the floor as he rolls them both, pinning her beneath him on the massive bed. Suddenly, she's trapped beneath solid muscle, his thighs bracketing hers, his bare chest pressed against her body. "Let me go!" she spits, bucking against his weight. "Get off me, you animal!" His eyes have shifted to gold, the pupils dilating as he stares down at her. To her absolute horror, his nose skims along her throat and inhales deeply. "What the hell are you doing?" she demands, her voice higher than she'd intended. "You smell like wildflowers," he murmurs, and there's something almost reverent in his tone. "I smell like your death," she shoots back, struggling beneath him. "Now let me..." The bedroom door bursts open, and suddenly the room is full of people. Large, intimidating people who move with the fluid grace of predators. "Alpha!" A woman with short-cropped hair and worried eyes rushes forward. "Are you all right? We heard..." "I'm fine, Lara," the Alpha says, his voice perfectly calm despite the fact that he's currently pinning a would-be assassin to his bed. "Just had an unexpected visitor." "Who is she?" demands a man with scars across his jaw. His eyes find the blade on the floor, and his expression darkens. "She was trying to attack you." Trying being the operative word, the Alpha says with what sounds suspiciously like amusement. "Her technique needs work." "My technique is perfect," Briar snarls, renewing her struggles. "And this isn't over, Shifter. I'm going to end you. I'm going to..." "Lara," the Alpha interrupts, finally lifting his weight off her but keeping one hand firmly around her wrist. "Would you mind escorting our guest to the holding cells? I think she needs some time to cool down." "My pleasure," Lara says grimly, hauling Briar to her feet with surprising strength. "Come on, little witch, let's go." As they drag her toward the door, she twists back to look at the Alpha one last time. He's sitting on the edge of his bed now, completely unruffled, watching her with those unsettling blue eyes. And damn him, he's still smiling. "This isn't over," she shouts as they pull her into the hallway. "I'll find a way to finish what I started." His low chuckle follows her down the corridor, and she hates how the sound makes her traitorous heart race. Chapter 1. 2 days. Briar has been trapped in this barbaric cell for 2 whole days. The stone walls are cold. The heavy door is reinforced with what looks suspiciously like iron. Even the lock appears to be warded against magic. These animals are more prepared than she'd given them credit for. "How are you enjoying your breakfast?" her guard asks, nodding toward the untouched tray. Briar picks up the plate and hurls it at the bars. The ceramic shatters satisfyingly. "So, I guess that means you still won't tell us who sent you?" the guard comments. "Take these off and I'll show you," Briar snarls, holding up her wrists to display the silver cuffs locked around them. The metal burns against her skin, completely nullifying her magic. "And have you casting a spell?" The man rolls his eyes. "I don't think so." She flips him the middle finger with both hands. "Just you wait, I'll get out of here soon enough." The guard snorts. "Bold of you to make threats while being held in a cell, and bold of you to try to go after the Alpha of all people." "You're right," Briar says sweetly. "Next time I'll go straight for you." A low snarl escapes the guard's throat, and Briar quickly scans the cell, looking for anything she could use as a weapon if he snaps. The broken ceramic pieces are too small, but the metal food tray might work if she can get enough leverage. "Marco," the single word spoken in a deep, calm voice. "Alpha." The guard, Marco, immediately steps back from the bars. He attempts. "I know what you were doing." The Alpha steps into view, and Briar's breath catches despite herself. "Go," he says. Marco hesitates. "But sir, she was..." "Now." Marco's footsteps echo down the corridor until they fade entirely, leaving Briar alone with the person she least wants to see. The Alpha doesn't speak immediately. Instead, he just looks at her, those blue eyes taking in everything from her tangled hair to her wrinkled clothes. "What?" she finally snaps. "You want an apology or something? You're not getting one." The Alpha stays silent for a beat, and then, "What's your name?" he asks. The question catches her off guard. "What?" "Your name," he repeats patiently. "It's go screw yourself," Briar snaps. His mouth curves into that infuriating smirk she remembers from 2 nights ago. "Apparently you won't tell us who sent you either?" he asks. "Maybe I sent myself, moron." Briar rolls her eyes. "Even thought of that?" "Oh?" He leans against the wall across from her cell, crossing his arms in a way that makes his biceps strain against his sleeves. The prick. "And why is that?" he asks. "What did I ever do to you?" This makes Briar pause. "I don't like your face," she decides eventually. He raises an eyebrow, clearly not buying it. "Well, I don't," she insists. "It's too..." She pauses, searching for the right word. "Symmetrical? Sharp-featured? Perfect?" "Take your time," he says mildly. "It'll come to you." The patronizing tone makes her want to scream. "What do you even plan to do with me?" she demands. "You can't keep me here forever." "Actually," he says, "I do intend to keep you forever." Briar stares at him. "Why?" "The second you let your guard down, I'm just going to come for you again, fool." His gaze lingers on her face, tracing her features with an attention that makes her skin prickle with awareness. "Well?" Briar snaps, unnerved by the change. He doesn't answer immediately. Instead, he straightens from the wall, taking a half step closer to the bars. "Stop staring at me," Briar says. "It's creepy." His jaw tightens, and she can see him swallow hard. "If I intend to keep you forever," he says finally, his voice quieter than before, "it is because—" He trails off, his eyes meeting hers and then looking away. "Because what?" Irritation flares in her chest. "Spit it out already. What kind of game are you—" "Because you're my mate," he interrupts. Briar blinks. For a moment, she's certain she misheard him. "Excuse me, what did you just say?" The word comes out as barely a whisper. "Mate? What does that even mean? What is he talking about?" He's watching her reaction carefully now, those blue eyes fixed on her face like he's trying to read her thoughts. "You're my mate," he repeats, and she can see the tension in his shoulders. "I'm not your anything," Briar denies. The words bursts out of her and grimaces briefly. "Fate says otherwise, it seems," comes his reply. "Fate?" Briar's voice cracks. "What the hell does that mean?" He's quiet for a moment, and when he speaks again, his voice is gentle, patient. All shifters have destined mates, one person who completes them, who they're meant to bond with for life. Finding your mate is rare, a gift most of us never receive, and... "Whoa, okay." Briar interrupts. "I don't like where you're going with this. You're messing with me, right? Trying to confuse me into giving you information or something?" When he doesn't respond, doesn't even crack a smile, her shock transforms into fury. "What kind of sick sense of humor is this, Wolf?" "I'm very serious," he says, that maddening calm never leaving his voice. "When I saw you in my room, I knew. The bond, it's like nothing I've ever felt. Even now, being near you, I can sense your emotions." "Oh, good," Briar snarls. "Well, then I hope you feel my complete and utter disgust for you." Something flickers across his face. Hurt, maybe? But it's gone so quickly she might have imagined it. "I understand you haven't heard of fated bonds," he continues. "It's not something humans usually know about." "Stop talking about bonds," Briar screeches. But he doesn't stop. If anything, he seems more determined to explain. "These connections are sacred to my people. When you find your mate, they become the most important thing in your world. The person you're destined to care for and cherish above all others." His eyes meet hers through the bars. "I'm telling you this so you'll know that I would never hurt you. Not ever." The earnestness in his voice, the way he's looking at her like she's something precious, it destabilizes her completely. "Do you really feel nothing when you look at me?" he asks quietly. Briar's body begins to shake, which... No. Just no. She can't listen to this anymore. Can't stand the way he's looking at her like she matters, like she's not the enemy. She jerks to her feet, pressing herself against the far wall of the cell. "I feel complete and utter horror," she spits. He nods slowly, like he expected that response, and her words die in her throat. "I hope to change that," he says. "I want you to feel safe with me." "Go away!" she screams. Wolves killed her parents. Wolves are monsters who only pretend to be human to lure in their prey. This is just another trick, another lie designed to make her lower her guard. She won't fall for it. Chapter 2. 3 days have passed since the Alpha dropped his ridiculous bombshell, and Briar is still reeling from the audacity of it. Mate. He pretended she was his mate. What kind of manipulative monster invents this kind of stuff? The worst part is that everyone seems to be in on the charade. Just this morning, she overheard Marco talking to another guard in hushed tones. "Poor Alpha," he'd said, shaking his head sadly. "To think that's his mate, a witch who tried to kill him." "Maybe she's enchanted him somehow," the other guard replied. made him think she's his fated mate when she's really not. You think a witch could fake a mate bond? I don't know, but something's not right about this whole situation. It infuriates Briar how committed they all are to the act. For example, the Alpha, she refuses to think of him by name because names humanize people and he's not people, has been visiting her cell every evening for the past week. Not to interrogate her, which would at least make sense. No, he just sits there and tries to make conversation. This is his strategy, she realizes. This is what he thinks will break her. Make her believe in some ridiculous mate bond fairy tale until she's so confused and emotionally compromised that she spills everything about the Coven's location, their numbers, their plans. It's actually brilliant, in a sick way, and probably effective on weaker minds. Lesser girls who haven't been properly trained to resist manipulation might have fallen for those ridiculous good looks, or the way he smiles like he actually cares. But Briar is not one of this girl. Briar is totally, 100% indifferent to this man's stupidly beautiful eyes. In fact, the mere thought that he considers her so easily swayed makes her blood boil, as if she'd ever be stupid enough to fall for something so obvious. "Are you comfortable enough?" he'd asked yesterday. "The nights are getting colder. I could have someone bring you another blanket." "I could have someone bring you a knife to the throat," she'd snarled back. He'd just smiled, that patient, understanding smile that made her want to scream. Tonight is no different. He's back again, and this time he's brought a book. "I thought you might be getting bored," he says, holding up the leather-bound volume. "This is one of my favorites because—" "I couldn't care less," Briar cuts him off. "I don't want to hear your voice." He's quiet for a moment, considering her words. "All right, I'll just sit here then. Maybe read to myself." And he does. He actually sits there reading silently while she glares at him from across the cell. This is exactly what the Coven warned them about. Wolves are master manipulators, able to present themselves as harmless while they plot their victim's destruction. Sister Thorn had drummed it into all the initiates. Never trust their human faces. Never forget what they really are underneath. Briar thinks of the other girls in the Coven, young women like herself who'd lost everything to these monsters. Sarah, whose parents died in a car accident that was really a shifter attack. Elena, who'd barely survived when wolves broke into her family's house. They're probably worried sick about her right now. The thought makes her stomach clench. Meanwhile, that idiot Alpha is still sitting there, only occasionally glancing up with something almost hopeful in his expression. That loser must think whatever it is he's doing is working, which, come to think of it. A slow smile spreads across Briar's face. His little act could work out in her favor. If he wants to manipulate her by pretending to be some kind of caring, devoted soulmate, then she'll let him think he's succeeding. She'll make him believe she's starting to fall for his act, and when his guard is down, she'll strike. At worst, she can feed him false information about the Coven. At best, she might actually manage to escape. "So what's it about?" she asks suddenly, interrupting his reading. He looks up, clearly startled. "I'm sorry." "Your book," Briar says, trying to inject just the right amount of reluctant curiosity into her voice. "Oh." He clears his throat. "I'm just rereading the Odyssey." "Right." Briar pauses. "What's it about?" "You don't know what the Odyssey is about?" the man asks, looking affronted. Briar feels herself blush. "Of course I do," she snaps. "Just checking you do, that's all. Understand what it's about, that is." The Alpha snorts, which makes her want to shake him. Instead, she sends him her sweetest smile. Could you maybe read it to me?" she asks, in a tone that she hopes sound delicate and vulnerable. I mean, if it's not too much trouble. She must succeed because the smile that crosses his face is so genuine that for a moment she almost feels guilt. "It's no trouble at all," he says. Briar hides her smirk. Chapter 3. 2 days into her brilliant manipulation plan, and Briar has made excellent progress with the Alpha. The first night, she'd simply listened to him read his boring Odyssey book, occasionally asking strategic questions about the wife's motivations. Because, for real, who waits for a dude that long? You know what I mean? By the second night, she'd graduated to making carefully timed observations about the story that made him pause and look at her with something approaching interest. Soon he'll be eating out of the palm of my hands, she thinks with satisfaction. So when the Alpha arrives for his evening reading session, she's prepared with her next move. "Could I get some fresh air?" she asks, batting her eyelashes. He pauses, one eyebrow raising slightly. "Fresh air?" "I'm going stir-crazy," she explains, forcing a note of vulnerability into her voice. There's something almost amused in his expression as he considers her request. "I suppose dinner upstairs wouldn't be unreasonable. You'd have to remain cuffed, of course." "Of course," Briar agrees quickly. 20 minutes later, she's following him up a stone staircase, her magic-suppressing cuffs still firmly in place. The house above the dungeons is nothing like what she expected from a pack of murderous beasts. It's elegant, all warm wood and expensive furniture with actual artwork on the walls. "This is nice," she says, injecting just the right amount of surprise into her tone while cataloging escape routes. "Thank you." If he notices her initial reconnaissance, he doesn't comment on it. The dining room is massive, dominated by a table that could easily seat 20 people. Of course, he gestures for her to sit at the far end while he takes his place at the head, putting a good 10 feet of polished mahogany between them. "What's wrong?" Briar asks. "Worried I'm going to stick my fork in your eye?" "A little bit, yes," he admits with that infuriating half-smile. Before she can respond, the door opens and a middle-aged woman hurries in. "Alpha, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we need to discuss the Morrison account." "Why, what is it?" he asks, setting down his fork. "The deadline is tomorrow, and if we don't get your signature on the revised terms, we'll lose the contract entirely." The Alpha sighs, pulling out a pen as he has brought a stack of documents next to his plate. "So," Briar says, watching him pick up his fork again after a good 15 minutes, "do you actually plan to eat now, or—" The door opens again. A younger man with urgent eyes rushes in. "Alpha, there's been a boundary dispute with the Riverside Pack." Briar takes another bite of her chicken, watching the Alpha eye his cooling dinner with something like longing. "You were saying?" he asks her when he's done with the new task. "I was saying that at this rate," Briar replies, gesturing with her fork, "Penelope will sooner see her missing husband than you get to eat." The door flies open yet again. This time it's Lara still in her guard uniform. "Alpha, the new security protocols need your approval." And so, the Alpha pushes his plate away with a resigned expression while Briar finishes her chicken and starts on her vegetables. By the time Lara leaves with her answers, she is reaching for dessert, and the man hasn't taken a single bite. "I mean, who needs food anyway?" she asks. He sighs in resignation. "Being Alpha means responsible for everyone in the pack," he tells her. "Their problems become my problems." "Right. You mean they can't think for themselves? Got you." "That's not what the Alpha begins, right as an older man barges in. "Alpha, forgive me, but the Henderson contract—" "Oh, come on," Briar snaps. "The man is eating. Can't you give it a rest?" The sudden silence is deafening. The Alpha blinks at her, clearly startled by her outburst. But he doesn't protest. And soon enough, the room clears, leaving them alone. "Thank you," he says quietly, looking unsure for the first time since she's met him. Like he's torn between gratitude, annoyance, and some sort of shy pleasure. Briar shrugs. "You can't possibly deal with business every 5 minutes," she tells him. He sighs. "Well, I do run several businesses that employ pack members, handle disputes, negotiate with other packs, maintain relationships with human authorities." Briar stares at him. Businesses, negotiations, this isn't what Sister Thorne taught them at all. Human authorities? She repeats. The Alpha pauses. Yes, he says. You know, so they don't discover what we are. Oh, Briar nods knowingly. You mean covering up all the murders? The Alpha's fork freezes halfway to his mouth. The murders? He repeats, sounding genuinely confused. He's a very good actor, Briar decides. He almost has her convinced he has no idea what she means. All the humans you kill, Briar explains. You know, to appease your wolves with blood so you can maintain your shifts. For a moment, the Alpha just stares at her, his face completely blank. Excuse me, what? He asks. He sets down his fork, pushing back from the table. Oh, come on. Briar insists with an eye roll. I'm a witch, not exactly human. I know what you are. And what is it that you think we are? The confusion in his voice sounds genuine, but she knows better than to trust it. Seriously, did he really think she didn't know about how shifters worked? Sister Thorn has taught them well. Briar knows all about their barbaric ways. Did you just say that we kill humans for blood to maintain our shifts? The Alpha asks. Briar flinches. Do wolves like to pretend they don't do that? Maybe it's some kind of pack taboo to discuss it openly? She's not sure what to say, how best to play this for her cover. Is that what? The Alpha runs a hand through his hair, looking genuinely thrown. Who told you this? The question hits too close to home, and Briar immediately shuts down. This is it, the part where the gentle manipulation stops and the real interrogation begins. She should have seen it coming. None of us commit murders, the Alpha continues, leaning forward with concern written across his features. It's against our laws to harm humans. We have strict policies. Liar! The word tears from her throat before she can stop it. Images flash through her mind. Her parents' house engulfed in flames, the Coven's explanation of what really happened, the wolves that came for them in the night. Briar shakes her head, her breathing becoming shallow. How dare he? How dare he expect her to act like she doesn't know what he is? What he does? The room begins to spin. I'm not lying, the Alpha says, his voice urgent but soothing. No one kills humans. No one is going to hurt you. You're safe here. But she can't hear him over the roaring in her ears, can't see past the visions that always come when someone challenges what she knows to be true. Her parents screaming her name, fire everywhere, the shapes of wolves moving through the smoke. Stop, she whispers, her voice breaking. They killed them. They killed my parents. Sister Thorn showed me. She explained it to me. The sobs come without warning, harsh and painful, ripping through her chest like physical wounds. She's 16 again, standing in the ashes of her home, completely alone in the world. The grief is as fresh as it was 7 years ago. Suddenly, the Alpha is beside her, his hands on her shoulders, warm and steady. Hey, he murmurs, his voice low and soothing. You're safe. Just breathe with me, all right? His thumbs trace gentle circles on her shoulders, and the relief is so immediate, so profound that it leaves her gasping. In and out, he murmurs. That's it. She finds herself matching his breathing without meaning to. I've got you, the Alpha says quietly, his hands moving to cup her face. Whatever they told you, whatever they made you believe, none of it was real. His voice is so certain, so gentle, that for a moment she almost believes him. Almost. But the images keep flickering behind her eyes, fire, screaming, the shadow of wolves in the smoke. She gasps, clinging to the Alpha even as her mind screams that he's the enemy, that his touch shouldn't comfort her. I don't understand, she cries out, her voice raw from crying. She's caught between the safety she feels in his arms and the terror that screams she should feel. What's happening? She's falling apart in the arms of her enemy, and she doesn't even know why. The last thing she's aware of is the Alpha's arms tightening around her as consciousness slips away. Chapter 4. Consciousness comes in fragments. Briar feels like she's swimming up from the bottom of a deep, dark pool. She's lying on something soft. A bed, she realizes dimly. But exhaustion weighs her down like lead. Her eyes feel too heavy to open. Voices drift through the haze, low and urgent. The sound of footsteps pacing back and forth across what sounds like hardwood floors. Alpha, she's too unstable. If she's really your fated mate. She is. The interruption comes sharp and certain, and Briar recognizes the Alpha's voice immediately. All the more reason to get rid of her. The other voice continues. She's been completely brainwashed. She tried to kill you. If she stays and your bond actually forms, you'll... I want to know who did this to my mate. The Alpha interrupts, his voice carrying a dangerous edge now. Contact every pack, every contact we have. Someone fed her those lies, someone twisted her mind, and I want to know who. A heavy sigh echoes through the room. West, listen to yourself. You're already not being rational about this. West. So that's his name, she thinks. She hadn't even thought to ask. Not even when Sister Thorn had told her she'd earned her first mark, and her next assignment would be her first kill. She hadn't asked for his name. She loses consciousness again. The next time awareness finds her, it's night. Arms, warm and solid, are wrapped around her, but it takes her a moment to realize she's being held. Her body stirs slightly, and blue eyes meet hers in the dim light. Sorry, the Alpha says quietly. You thrash a lot when I don't hold you. Your name is West? She asks, the words coming out rougher than she expected. Her throat feels raw, like she's been screaming. Sleep, he murmurs, pressing a gentle kiss to her forehead. The tenderness of the gesture confuses her. Did you drug me? She asks, because the exhaustion feels bone deep, unnatural. His jaw tightens almost imperceptibly. No, your body just exhausted itself with stress. Stress? She repeats. Yes, it appears our discussion triggered something within you at Diner. You've been struggling since. Oh. Her eyes drift closed again to the sound of his steady breathing. When she wakes the third time, she keeps her eyes shut, listening. So, the Alpha's voice questioning. Briar begins to tense as she feels the presence of magic beside her. But this magic is wrong, dark and twisted. Something deeply unsettling that makes her skin crawl and the hair on her arms stand on end. The temperature in the room seems to drop several degrees. Well, she's a witch, that's for sure. The responding voice is unfamiliar, male with an oddly melodic quality to it. West's exhale is audible, frustrated. Right, but is she in danger? Is she under some sort of spell? No, not that I can... The stranger pauses. She hears the rustle of fabric, feels the bed shift. Then, without warning, cold fingers wrap around her wrist. Bria's eyes snap open. A man with copper hair and green eyes is leaning over her, his skin pale as parchment. The darkness she sensed is emanating from him like heat from a fire, making the shadows in the room seem to writhe and dance. You have dark magic, she breathes, instinctively trying to pull away. So do you, he says calmly, looking at her arm. Briar follows his gaze and sees the mark on her forearm glowing faintly through her skin, pulsing with a sickly green light. Shit. That's her coven mark. Everyone receives one when they join, but it's supposed to stay hidden. How is it visible now? Briar tries to scramble away from him, but the dark magician makes a disapproving sound, a soft tisk that somehow sends chills down her spine, and places one finger against her forehead. His touch is like ice and darkness rushes in again. The next time she wakes, West is beside her, and fury blazes through her immediately. What did you do to me? She demands, trying to sit up. Nothing, he says, but he looks troubled, haunted even. The scent of food drifts from a tray on the bedside table, something warm and comforting that makes her stomach growl despite everything. But Briar has to focus. She's remembering the dark magician, how he'd seen her mark. It can't be good. If the Alpha has seen it too, if he has a clue that could lead him to the Coven, she needs to escape, now. When a knock comes at the door and he gets up to leave, she seizes her chance. "West," Briar calls out. The sound of his name on her lips makes him pause. Time to double down on her manipulation, she thinks. Time to make him believe she's starting to trust him. "Stay with me?" she asks, making her voice small and vulnerable. "Please?" For a moment, he looks clearly torn. But the fact that she's asked him to stay, that she's used his name, it's clearly affecting him more than she expected. There's something raw and grateful in his expression, like she's just given him an unexpected gift. Perfect, this is exactly what she needs. Briar lets a small, shy smile curve her lips. She shifts slightly on the bed, making room for him while keeping her movements hesitant. "Thank you," she whispers, looking up at him through her lashes. I don't want to be alone right now." The effect is immediate. The Alpha's entire posture softens, and his hand moves like he wants to reach for her before stopping himself. Hook, line, and sinker. "Could you—" she starts, then bites her lip. "Could you hold me, like before?" He freezes, staring her down suspiciously. "I feel safer when you're close," Briar presses. The Alpha blinks before clearing his throat. Except the second his arms settle around her, he sort of melts, his breathing deepening as he buries his face in her hair. Briar freezes, startled by the raw intimacy of the gesture. He's inhaling slowly, deeply, like he can't help himself, and for a moment, she almost believes, no. He's probably pretending, of course, trying to make her drop her guard. Well, two can play at this game. Briar lets herself sink deeper into his embrace and presses a soft kiss to the warm skin just below his jaw. His pulse jumps beneath her lips. When she pulls back to look at him, his eyes are wide with surprise, pupils dilated, beautiful. Before she can think, she's stretching up to press her lips to his. The kiss is nothing like she expected. His lips are warm and soft, and the taste of him, something distinctly masculine and appealing, floods her senses. But West doesn't respond. In fact, he goes completely frozen, like a statue. It's so jarring, she pulls back almost instantly, confused. "That's it?" she asks, the words tumbling out. Briar feels her cheeks flush with embarrassment and irritation. "You should rest," the Alpha replies. "Rest?" she asks, unable to keep the edge out of her voice. "That's all you've got after I just kissed you, really, man?" He raises an eyebrow. "Thank you," he offers. Briar seriously considers shaking him. "I thought I was your fated mate," she protests. "Your destiny or whatever?" West looks like he's trying not to laugh. "You are," he says confidently. Briar crosses her arms. "So doesn't that mean you'd be interested in kissing me?" she insists. Wes studies her face for a moment, something almost predatory in the way he watches her. "You don't actually want to kiss me," he decides, sounding quite certain. Briar startles. "What? Of course I do," she insists. "No," he shakes his head. "I can feel it through our bond. Whatever you're planning, Briar, it's not going to work." Well, crap, she thinks. The fact that he can sense her emotions through some supernatural connection is definitely not something the Coven prepared her for. If she wants to get out of here, if she wants to warn the Coven before it's too late, she's going to have to step up her game considerably. Chapter 5. 3 weeks. 3 entire weeks of trying to seduce a man who claims she's his destined mate, and Briar has absolutely nothing to show for it. "Want to make out?" she asks casually, draping herself across West's desk. It's become her catchphrase at this point, tossed out at random intervals throughout the day, all part of her carefully calculated plan to earn his trust and ultimately escape. Except West doesn't even look up. Brow furrows slightly and his lips press together. At least she's no longer in that cold cell. Now she has a bedroom, a nice one even, with soft blankets and a view of the mountains. Of course, she's still wearing these annoying magic-suppressing cuffs, and there's always someone watching her. Either West himself or one of his trusted guards. Her attempts at seduction have been embarrassingly unsuccessful. Actually, embarrassing doesn't begin to cover the spectacular disasters of her so-called brilliant plans. There was the massage incident, where she'd complained of sore shoulders, batting her eyelashes so dramatically she probably looked like she had something in her eye. The plan was genius. Get his hands on her, distract him, and snatch the keys to her cuffs from his pocket. Instead, she'd turned into human putty the second his fingers touched her, making sounds that would have gotten her kicked out of a respectable library. Then there was the dinner disaster. She'd spent days sweet-talking the cook into giving her access to the kitchen, claiming she wanted to prepare a special meal for West. The centerpiece of her plan, 3 different bottles of Wince, perfect for loosening West's tongue about the coven, or maybe those cuff keys. 3 hours later, West was annoyingly sober while she couldn't remember how many fingers she had. "The room is spinning," she'd slurred, clinging to his shirt. "How are you still standing?" "Shifters have a strong metabolism," he'd replied with that infuriating gentleness. "Alcohol doesn't affect us the same way." She'd responded by throwing up on his shoes. And so the weeks had gone, each plan more elaborate than the last, each failure more spectacular. She'd tried everything short of interpretive dance to break through his defenses, all for the mission, of course. Not because she enjoyed the way his eyes lit up when she made him laugh. Definitely not. She tells herself she's collecting intelligence when she notices how intently he listens to every concern brought to him, or how he never raises his voice. The only thing is that none of this fits with what Sister Thorne taught her about shifters. But Briar pushes the doubt away. It's all an act, she reminds herself, just like her own. This morning, the house is in chaos when West brings her downstairs for breakfast. Pack members are rushing about with decorations. Furniture is being moved. "What's happening?" Briar asks, watching in growing confusion as more pack members arrive, carrying everything from flowers to what appears to be a crystal fountain. West shrugs, guiding her to the dining room with a hand at the small of her back, a touch she's become accustomed to over the weeks. "No, but seriously," Briar insists, "what's with all the excitement out there?" West looks up, blinking as if he's been lost in thought. "The excitement?" Briar narrows her eyes. "There's an army of people transforming your house. Surely you must have noticed." She crosses her arms, staring him down until he sighs. "Fine," he admits. "There's a party being thrown." "A party being thrown?" she repeats, one eyebrow raised. "You mean you're throwing a party?" "Not exactly," West replies. "What does that mean?" The Alpha shifts uncomfortably. "It means the party is being thrown for me." "For you?" Briar blinks. "Why would—" "For my birthday," West interrupts with a slight wince. Briar freezes. "Your birthday?" she repeats, suddenly offended that he hasn't mentioned it before. "It's your birthday today?" Not that she cares, obviously. It's just information she should have been told, that's all. For mission purposes. "When were you going to tell me?" she asks. "I wasn't aware it was that relevant information," West replies mildly. Briar scoffs. "Right. So I take it I'm not invited then?" She means it as a joke, but something in his expression makes her pause. "Wait, are you serious?" she asks, genuinely surprised. "You're not inviting me?" West sighs, running a hand through his hair. "Come on, Briar. You know why that's not a good idea." And when she just gapes at him, he adds, "You try to escape?" "I?" Briar exclaims dramatically. "Try to escape?" West gives her a flat look, making Briar scoffs. A crowded party with everyone distracted is the perfect opportunity to slip away. But the fact that he naturally assumes this is something she would do only makes her want to prove him wrong. By showing up in a nice dress and stay by his side all night, for example. Bet he wouldn't see that one coming. Ha! Joke's on him. Well, what do you expect me to do? She snaps, annoyed. Stay in my room the entire night? West's expression turns apologetic, which only infuriates her more. Because she'll be missing a prime escape opportunity, obviously. Chapter 6. Hours later, Briar paces her room like a caged animal, which, technically, she is. Can't believe him, she mutters. It's not like I'd try to assassinate him at his own birthday party. The more she thinks about it, the more annoyed she becomes. How am I supposed to get him a gift if I don't know it's his birthday? She grumbles, flopping onto her bed. Now I just look rude. Not that she cares what Wes thinks, obviously. This is purely strategic. Earning his trust requires certain social niceties, that's all. The distant sounds of the party filter up through her window. Laughter, music, the clinking of glasses. Whatever. She doesn't care. Nope. Eventually, she tries to sleep, if only to escape her own thoughts. But it isn't long before something yanks her back awake. A discomfort, vague and insistent, like an itch she can't quite locate. Her head throbs with what feels like the beginning of a migraine, and there's a strange pressure in her chest. Briar sits up, rubbing her temples. The feeling persists, a sort of restless unease coupled with physical discomfort that seems to radiate through her entire body. It feels almost like anxiety, but not quite. Like she's forgotten something important, but can't remember what. Girl, just go back to sleep, she tells herself firmly. But she can't. The feeling grows stronger, more insistent. It's not physical exactly, more like a pull. A tug on something deep inside her that says she needs to be somewhere else, with someone else. With West. The thought comes from nowhere, sudden and startling, but the moment it surfaces, she knows it's true. Something's wrong with West. She doesn't know how she knows. She just does. I'm being stupid, she mumbles, but she's already on her feet, moving toward the door. She throws it open, startling the guard stationed outside. I need to go downstairs, she announces, not entirely sure why she's doing this. The guard, a burly man with a beard she doesn't recognize, looks unimpressed. Nice try. Back in your room. You don't understand, Briar insists. I need to see West. The Alpha, the guard corrects with a sneer, is busy entertaining guests, and you're not invited. A second guard appears from around the corner, equally unimpressed. Problem? The witch wants to crash the party, the first guard explains. Look, Briar says, trying to keep her voice level. I need to check on West. He's unwell. That gets their attention. How would you know that? Briar opens her mouth, then closes it. How does she know? She has no idea. She just does. I'm his mate, she says finally. I can tell. The words come out before she can stop them, surprising her as much as the guards. She doesn't believe in the mate bond. It's nonsense, a fairy tale West invented to manipulate her. But right now, it's the only explanation she has for this strange certainty. Go get him, Briar instructs. Tell him there's a very important phone call with very important people waiting for him in his office. But there isn't, the first guard protests. Everyone important is here. Right, Briar says, crossing her arms. So if he comes, you'll know I'm right. The guards exchange another look before the second one nods. I'll wait in his office, Briar says. More skeptical looks, but eventually they agree, and soon enough, Briar paces the office, trying to make sense of what just happened. Just when she's beginning to think her ploy hasn't worked, the door opens, and West steps in. Briar? He says, clearly surprised. The guard said there was an urgent call. You're welcome, Briar replies. What? West's brow furrows in confusion. Oh, come on. She rolls her eyes. You don't feel well, I can tell. The words hang in the air between them, and suddenly Briar pauses, struck by the strangeness of it. How could she tell? She pushes the thought aside, focusing instead on the opportunity in front of her. West looks off balance, vulnerable even. This could be her chance to finally get under his skin. So, what's wrong? She asks, studying him more closely. Nothing, he says. His hands clench and unclench at his sides, knuckles white with strain. Liar, she says, softer than she intended. West sighs, lowering himself carefully into his chair. Don't worry about it. So you admit something's up? Briar presses, moving closer. What is it? Another sigh, deeper this time. Fine, West mutters, avoiding her eyes. A muscle jumps in his jaw as he clenches his teeth. It's because of the bond. His eyes, when they meet hers briefly, have a feverish gleam to them. The mate bond. It requires that I spend time with you, stay close to you. And because I've done so a lot recently, the bond has grown, and now... He trails off, looking away. Now what? Briar asks, feeling a flutter of nervousness in her stomach. West meets her eyes, and the intensity in his gaze makes her breath catch. Now it requires that I be with you, he confesses. Be with me? She repeats. That I claim you, he says quietly. His breathing has grown more labored, his chest rising and falling with each carefully measured breath. Claim me? Briar lets out a forced laugh. You ain't claiming shit, buddy. Yes, I am aware, West winces. Briar stares, the reality of the situation slowly sinking in. You're serious, aren't you? This bond thing, it's not a joke. It's not a manipulation tactic. It's not a lie designed to confuse her or make her lower her guard. It's real. I would never lie about something like this, West says quietly. To us, mate bonds are sacred. For a moment, Briar doesn't know what to say. Everything she thought she knew, everything Sister Thorne taught her about shifters being manipulative monsters. If this is true, if the bond is real, then what else might be false? Okay, shut up, she says finally, pushing the troubling thoughts aside. So what do we do? How do we make you feel better? Wes looks distinctly uncomfortable, shifting in his chair. You said you needed to be close to me? Briar prompts. Yes, he admits reluctantly, the word coming out almost as a growl. Briar's mind races. Close to her, all right. What does that mean exactly? And then it hits her. Physically close? That's what he means. Her eyes widen. Don't, Wes says immediately, reading her expression. But... Nope. He pushes himself to his feet and backs away from her. Oh, come on, Briar says. You know I have to... Briar. Want to make out? She interrupts triumphantly. Something snaps in West's expression. No, I don't want to make out. His eyes flash fully gold now, his breathing ragged. I don't want to touch you, he says, almost a snarl. I don't want to get anywhere near physical intimacy with you when you obviously do not reciprocate or feel the need or want to touch me back at all. The vehemence in his voice takes her aback. You are my mate, Briar, he continues, the words pouring out now, harsh and strained. And it might not mean much to you, but to me, you're everything. Your scent, your feelings. I feel connected to you in ways I've never felt before in my life and never will again. So, forgive me, he growls, but I don't think I can bring myself to touch you and have you feel absolutely nothing. She cuts him off by pressing her lips to his. It's impulsive, unplanned, the exact opposite of the calculated seduction attempts she's been making for weeks. She doesn't even know why she does it, only that she can't stand to hear him talk like that for another second. West freezes for a heartbeat, his entire body going rigid with shock. He responds, a brief, desperate press of lips before he tears himself away, his chest heaving. "Stop being stupid," Briar sighs, kissing him again. A sound tears from his throat, half growl, half groan, primal and desperate. Suddenly his arms are around her, pulling her against him, and the kiss is nothing like the tentative press of lips from before. This is raw and hungry, the culmination of weeks of denied desire. His mouth moves against hers with an urgency that steals her breath, and Briar finds herself responding with equal fervor. Heat blooms everywhere they touch, his hands on her waist, his chest against hers. The intensity is overwhelming, unlike anything she's ever experienced. But more shocking than the physical sensation is what she feels emotionally. Somehow, impossibly, she can sense West's feelings, a tidal wave of need, desire, relief that makes her heart stutter in her chest. There's a desperate edge to it, like a man who's been starving finally given a feast. She pulls back, gasping for air. All the restraint he's shown these past weeks, it was all a facade. Underneath, he's been burning for her. "Wow," she says, grinning. "You're so into me." West groans, his eyes molten gold now. Their lips meet again, and this time Briar melts against him, her arms winding around his neck as he lifts her effortlessly onto his desk. She nips at his lower lip, drawing a sound from him that's more wolf than man. His control slips further, and suddenly he's kissing her harder, deeper, his tongue sliding against hers in a way that makes her toes curl. Briar has been kissed before, but never like this. Never so thoroughly that she forgets everything except the feel of someone against her. The mate bond, it's real. The realization should terrify her. Instead, it sends a thrill through her entire body. All this time, West's been telling the truth. Just as his hands slide to her hips and the heat between them becomes almost unbearable, West suddenly pulls back. "What?" Briar pouts. "Look, West hesitate. "Briar, there's something you should know." His eyes, still more gold than blue, are troubled as they meet hers. "What is it?" she asks. West takes a deep breath. "It's about your coven, about Sister Thorn." Chapter 7. Briar pushes away from West, panic flaring in her chest. "How do you know about the coven?" she demands, her voice rising with fear. "What they told you, what they've been telling you your whole life. It's not what you think." West attempts. "You don't know what you're talking about," Briar interrupts. West holds up his hands, trying to appear non-threatening. "Please, calm down." The softness in his voice only makes her angrier. "Leave my coven alone," she snaps, backing toward the door. All the warmth she'd felt moments ago has vanished, replaced by cold dread. "You don't understand," West says, a pained expression crossing his features. "They've been lying to you." "You're the liar," Briar interrupts, not wanting to hear another word. West's shoulders slump slightly. "Remember the man who came to see you when you were unconscious?" he asks. "The one with the copper hair?" "The dark magic user?" Briar scoffs. "You can't seriously believe anything a dark magician says." "Your coven uses black magic too," West says quietly, his blue eyes searching hers, pleading for understanding. "That mark on your arm proves it." Briar's hand instinctively covers her forearm, where her coven mark lies hidden beneath her sleeve. "You should never have seen that." Her voice cracks, and she hates the vulnerability in it. The idea that he's seen something so private, so integral to her identity, makes her feel violated. "It's a siphon mark, Briar," West declares, his voice gentle. "It draws magic from you." She stares at him. "What?" The word comes out as barely more than a whisper. "The mark has been placed on you to siphon magic to whoever put it there," West explains. "Your coven leader, I imagine." He takes a half step toward her, then stops himself when she flinches back. The hurt in his eyes is palpable, a raw wound that somehow makes her chest ache in response. "I would know if my magic had been siphoned. It's mine. It's part of me. Briar's voice rises with desperation. You'd know if something was wrong with your wolf? Well, I'd know if something was up with my magic. Except if it isn't yours, West murmurs, his voice heavy with regret. What are you talking about? Briar wavers. The magician who came here. His name is Adrian. West grimaces, leaning against his desk. He's very powerful, capable of granting any wish for a price. So he's made a pact with a demon? Briar asks, her witch's knowledge filling in the blanks. Yes, but that's shady as hell, West, she interrupts. Where did you even find this guy? A friend from another pack vouched for him. West's jaw tightens, eyes darkening with concern. Adrian is bound to grant wishes, but he always explains the potential consequences, that you'll pay with what you love most. He told me he once granted a witch a wish, the power to draw a shifter's magic to herself by killing them. Briar's blood runs cold. I believe this witch, Annabella Thorne was her name, is the one who placed that mark on you and other members of your coven. She draws magic from the mark every time one of you kills a shifter in her stead. West concludes. No, Briar exclaims, recoiling from his words. That's not true. The coven is about protecting humans from shifters. We're the good guys. West's expression softens with something like pity, and it makes her want to scream. Right. And we're the murderers who kill to be able to shift? Briar, that isn't true. Surely you know this by now. Briar falls silent, her mind racing. It's true she's never actually seen a shifter kill to maintain their form. And nothing about West or his pack matches what Sister Thorne had taught them. But Sister Thorne wouldn't lie, wouldn't use them like that. And wolves killed her parents. They did. West's face falls at her silence, a flicker of devastation crossing his features before he masks it. You know me? He murmurs. You can feel what I feel. I'm not lying. The vulnerability in his plea tears at something deep inside her. Pain lances through Briar's head suddenly, sharp and unexpected. Images flash before her eyes, fire, screaming, the shadow of wolves moving through smoke. Wolves killed my parents, she whispers, pressing her hands to her temples. West reaches for her, his expression desperate. No, that's what they made you believe. They conditioned you. I looked into your parents' death, Briar. It was an accident. No, she shouts, get away from me. She doesn't wait for his response, fleeing from his office and racing back to her room. The guards don't try to stop her. Perhaps they heard her shouting, or perhaps West gave them some silent signal to let her go. Briar slams her door shut. Her head throbs, the images coming faster now, her childhood home engulfed in flames, her parents' screams. It can't all have been a lie, she whispers to herself. It can't. But what if West is telling the truth? What if Sister Thorne has been using her, using all of them? What if the mark on her arm isn't a symbol of belonging but a brand of ownership? No, West is the liar. His plan worked. He managed to trick her into thinking that mate bond nonsense was real. And now that he can tell she believes him, he thinks she'll turn on the coven. Except, she felt him when they'd kissed. How genuinely happy he'd felt. That can't have been a lie. Nothing makes sense. Briar wraps her arms around herself. Perhaps this dark magician tricked West? Yes, perhaps West actually believes what he says because he's the one being manipulated here, not her. And maybe some wolves are bad, but others like West aren't. He isn't like the wolves who killed her parent. He's different. Hello, Briar. Briar jumps to her feet, whirling toward the voice. Standing by her window, as if she'd materialized from thin air, is Elena, a fellow witch from the coven, with her distinctive silver-streaked dark hair and sharp green eyes. Briar opens her mouth to ask what she's doing here, but Elena quickly presses a finger to her lips. Shh, she whispers. I've put a cloaking spell on myself so I can't be seen or heard. But you aren't cloaked. so if you speak, the wolves will hear. Briar closes her mouth, trying to convey her questions through gestures instead. I'm here to rescue you, of course. Elena smiles. After you went missing, Sister Thorn concluded you'd been captured. Elena moves closer, her voice dropping even lower. I've been observing you undetected. I must say I'm impressed. You've done magnificently tricking the Alpha, getting so close to him. This is going to be really handy for the next part of the plan. Briar furrows her brow, mouthing, the plan? Elena nods, her smile turning predatory. The plan to kill the Alpha, of course. I'm here to help. And seeing Briar's expression fall, she adds quickly, Don't worry, sister. Together we will get rid of him and his evil ways for good. Chapter 8. Briar paces her room, unable to sit still. Will you stop moving? Elena hisses. You're making me dizzy. Briar ignores her, mind racing. West's words keep echoing in her head, mingling with Sister Thorn's teachings until she doesn't know what to believe anymore. Here, Elena says, reaching into her pocket and pulling out a small silver tube. You'll need this. Briar stops pacing to look at the object. A lipstick. What's that for? Elena smirks. Poison. Put it on before you see him next, kiss him, and he won't see a thing coming. Briar's blood turns to ice. Wolfbane, she realizes, turned into a poison she helped develop herself, a lethal concoction specifically designed to kill shifters. Fast-acting and virtually undetectable. The truly insidious part being, it didn't make victims feel sick. Instead, it induced euphoria, ensuring they'd never realize they were dying until it was too late. Go on, take it, Elena urges, extending her hand. Briar takes the lipstick with numb fingers, her mind conjuring unbidden images of West laughing, eyes bright with artificial joy as the poison steals through his system. A tight knot of panic forms in her chest. This won't work. She shakes her head. He can feel what I feel. Well, make sure to keep calm, Elena shrugs. Briar's anxiety spikes. I can't just... You can't? Elena interrupts, her expression hardening. Sister Thorn was right. They got to you. West is different, Briar defends quickly. He wouldn't kill innocent people. Elena stares at her. You've only been here a month and already you're on his side? It's not just him, Briar protests. This magician came and he set our marks. It doesn't matter, Elena interrupts. Sister Thorn will sort you out. Briar freezes. I was just testing you anyway. Elena's lips curve into a grim smile. I don't need you to do anything anymore. I already took care of it. What do you mean? Briar asks. I'd already applied it on you earlier, Elena says, holding up the lipstick. It's done. Briar's hand flies to her mouth, horror dawning as the implications sink in. He's been poisoned already? She exclaims. Elena lunges forward, clamping a hand over her mouth. Shut up, will you? They'll hear. But Briar barely registers Elena's words. All she can think about is West, the warmth of his lips against hers, the way he'd held her. She glances at the door, calculating. She needs to act quickly. We need to leave, she says. Now. Elena blinks, momentarily thrown. Now? Yes, now, Briar says urgently. If we wait, everyone will be after us. Elena studies her face, clearly suspicious. So what do you suggest? Take off my cuffs, Briar says, extending her wrists. I can use my magic to help us escape. Elena's eyes narrow. Nice try, Briar, but I don't trust you. Ever since I've told you about your alphas being poisoned, there's been blatant fear in your eyes. Well, obviously, Elena, Briar snaps. He's the alpha of this pack. His people are going to come after us. That's not why you're afraid, though, is it? Elena interrupts. You're worried about him. You care about him, she adds, sounding horrified. Briar's heart sinks. Fine, she says. Then you should go now before they find out what happened. I'll stay here, cover for you. This makes Elena falter. And leave you behind? She asks hesitantly. I'll be fine, Briar insists. I can say I had no idea what you were planning. For a moment, real concern flashes across Elena's face. Briar, I can't just leave you here alone. You'll be the first person they'll blame for this. They'll hurt you. Briar seizes the moment. She grabs a crystal paperweight from the nightstand and slams it into the back of Elena's head. I'm sorry, Briar murmurs as she collapses to the floor. Elena isn't evil, just another pawn in Sister Thorn's game. She searches her pockets, hoping for an antidote. Nothing. Panic rises, but Briar forces it down. Think. Her eyes catch on a silver ring on Elena's finger, the cloaking spell. She slips it off and onto her own. The air shimmers. Working quickly, she binds and gags Elena with strips of bedsheet. Then, invisible now, she slips into the corridor. Music and laughter echo from the grand hall. Her heart races as she enters the crowded room, eyes scanning until she finds West. He stands near the center of the room, surrounded by well-wishers, face flushed and eyes bright, looking very much like a man who's had a bit too much to drink on his birthday. But Briar knows better. The artificial brightness in his eyes, the slight looseness in his movements, these aren't signs of intoxication. She pushes through the crowd, desperation growing with each passing second. West, she exclaims, slipping the ring off her finger. Quick, you need to... Briar? He interrupts, blinking in surprise. Up close, she can see the slight sheen of sweat on his forehead, the too rapid pulse at his throat. But before she can say a word, he swept her into his arms, nuzzling his face against her neck. You came back, he sighs, sounding perfectly content. West, she tries, but he's not listening. You smell so good. He chuckles, his lips brushing her ear. Lara approaches, her expression wary as she eyes Briar. Alpha, is this really a good idea? She asks. Having her here? West beams, his arm tightening around Briar's waist. She is my mate, he declares, his words slurring slightly. I want her with me all the time. Seeing him sway on his feet, Lara's face falls. Alpha, is everything okay? She attempts. Briar steadies him. West, listen to me, she says urgently. You need help. You're... I'm fine, Briar, he assures, trying to kiss her again. She winces. He's not fine, she tells Lara. He's been poisoned. Remove my cuffs so I can help him. I don't think so, no. Lara's expression hardens, though she deflated a little when she notices how West is leaning heavily against Briar now. Come on, Briar tells him. Tell them to uncuff me, please. He looks down at her, his smile fading slightly as his head drops to her shoulder. I can't, he sighs, sagging against her. Then you'd leave me, Briar. West, I'm not going to leave, she promises, panic rising. I'm going to heal you. Trust me. You know I'm not lying. He looks at her through heavy-lidded eyes, a small frown forming. Okay, he begins, but the word trails off as his eyes roll back. West! Briar cries, struggling to keep him upright as he collapses. Lara rushes forward, and together they lower him gently to the floor. Around them, the party dissolves into chaos as guests realize something is wrong. What did you do? Lara demands, her eyes shooting daggers at Briar. It wasn't me, Briar says automatically, then amends. Well, it was, but I didn't know. Wrong answer, she realizes with a wince, as Lara looks like she's about to end her right here and there. Arrest her, she orders, and immediately guards appear at Briar's sides, grabbing her arms. She's done something to the Alpha. No. Briar struggles against their grip as they begin to drag her away from West. You don't understand. He's dying. You've got to let me heal him. She's screaming now, desperate, watching as Lara and several others kneel beside West, trying to rouse him. His face is deathly pale, the flush of euphoria replaced by an ashen pallor that terrifies her. Please, she begs, desperate, If it were me, why would I try to warn him? Why would I ask you to let me help him? One of the guards, Marco, she realizes, gives her an uncertain look. If we uncuff you, you could harm him further, he points out, sounding uncertain. Further than what? Briar asks, her voice breaking as she points to West's still form. He's dying right now. The guards continue dragging her away, but Lara suddenly looks up, her expression conflicted. Wait, she calls out. The guards pause and Briar holds her breath. Bring her back, Lara orders finally, her voice tight with worry. And uncuff her. Are you sure Marco begins. Now, Lara snaps. She's right, he's dying, and she might be our only chance. They bring Briar back to West's side and remove her cuffs. The moment the restraints fall away, Briar feels her magic surge back, wild and fierce, rushing through her like wildfire. Don't try anything funny, Lara warns. But Briar barely hears her. Her focus is entirely on West. I won't, she whispers, placing her hands on his chest. Other witches would need herbs, spells, an antidote, but Briar is a green witch, plants are her gift. And Wolfsbane, deadly as it is still a plant. She closes her eyes, reaching into West's body with her magic. There, the poison. It coils around his heart, floods his lungs, runs thick through his veins. It's worse than she feared. She draws a steady breath and begins. Her power moves carefully, precisely, withering the poison without harming him. It's like pulling thorns from living flesh. Sweat beads on her brow. Around her, the pack is silent, watching, waiting, but she tunes them out. Come on, she breathes. Fight it, West. Stay with me. Seconds drag. Her strength fades, but she doesn't stop. Then, his heartbeat steadies. His breath deepens. Color returns to his cheeks. Briar exhales, trembling. She hears Lara murmur something, feels the pack shift around her, but all she sees is West as his eyes flutter open, blue, clear, alive. Briar, he rasps. A sob breaks from her. I'm here. His hand finds her cheek, warm and solid. The pack watches in stunned silence, uncertain and afraid. But none of that matters. West is alive, and he's looking at her like she's the only thing that makes sense. Epilogue. Elena sits stiffly on the cot, refusing to meet Briar's eyes. The room, comfortable but secure, has been her home for 3 days. Come on, Elena, Briar says, sliding a folder across the table. Just look at the evidence. I don't need to look at wolf propaganda, Elena snaps. I know what Sister Thorn taught us. Briar sighs. That's the problem. She taught us lies. Elena's gaze finally snaps to hers, full of fury. You're the one who's been lied to, bewitched by that alpha. I thought that too, Briar says gently. Until Lara showed me this. She opens the folder. Police reports, news clippings, photos from the fire that killed her parents, gathered by West long before she trusted him. It was faulty wiring, an accident, not shifters. Elena glances at the documents, then looks away. They could be faked. I checked them myself, they're real. Briar lays out more, interviews, insurance forms, autopsies. Nothing pointed to foul play or anything supernatural. And then there's this. She rolls up her sleeve, revealing her altered coven mark. Adrian explained how it works. Elena flinches at the name. I was scared of him too, but he showed me how Sister Thorn used our marks to siphon power. Every time we killed a shifter, she grew stronger. We were just batteries. Briar leans in. Have you ever actually seen a shifter kill someone? Ever seen them need blood to survive? Elena stays silent. She kept us isolated, filled our heads with horror stories, but they're not monsters, Elena. We've been hunting innocents. Silence stretches. Then finally, Elena whispers, I don't know what to believe anymore. Not acceptance, but a start. Just think about it, Briar says, rising. At the door, she hesitates. I miss you, the real you, not the weapon Sister Thorn made us. She leaves quietly, the ache in her chest deepening. Elena's doubt had mirrored her own weeks ago, but rejection still hurts. Briar climbs the grand staircase, feet moving on instinct. She's spent the last few days in West's chambers, watching over him. Through their bond, she feels his presence, steady, but still healing. He lies sprawled across the bed, eyes closed, breath slow and even. Her gaze lingers on him, his face softer in sleep, no longer her enemy but something far more precious. When he stirs moments later, his eyes find hers instantly. Hey, he murmurs, voice rough with sleep. Hey yourself, she replies, aiming for carefree. West's expression shifts subtly. What's wrong? He asks. You're upset. I'm not upset, Briar protests, but West only raises an eyebrow in response. How is Elena? He challenges. Briar sighs. There's no hiding from the bond between them, no way to shield her emotions from his awareness. Elena's being stubborn, she admits. Like someone else I know, West teases gently. I thought once I showed her the evidence about my parents, she'd at least consider the possibility that Sister Thorn lied. West nods, understanding in his eyes. He shifts position slightly, wincing with the effort. Give her time, he advises. It took you weeks to start questioning your beliefs. Briar shakes her head. Here he is, trying to make her feel better when he was the one who had almost died. You should be resting, she says, guilt clouding her mind. I've been resting for days, he counters. Through their bond, she can feel his weariness, the lingering effects of the poison that had nearly claimed his life, and she winces. This too, he notices. It wasn't your fault, Briar, West tells her, reaching for her hand. His fingers hover just above hers, not quite touching, as if he doesn't dare go further without permission. The hesitation in the gesture makes her heart ache. Move over, she decides, sitting beside him. West raises an eyebrow but complies, shifting to make room. You don't have to do this, he says quietly, though she can feel his pleasure at her nearness humming through their bond. It's the least I can do, Briar reminds him, voice small, being the one who poisoned you and all. West tenses at that, his body growing rigid beside her. Accidentally. He attempts to joke, but the damage is done. Briar senses his unease. And for a horrifying second, she thinks he's nervous about being near her, the person who almost got him killed. Twice. But then she realizes it has nothing to do with that. Their bond reveals that if he's concerned, it's only because he believes she is sitting next to him out of guilt, her sudden offer for closeness born of obligation rather than desire. I like touching you, Briar thus declares, rolling her eyes at his surprised expression. It's the truth. Despite her lingering confusion about so many things, this, being close to him, feels right in a way she can't explain. West melts at the words, pleasure seeping through their bond once more as he pulls her close. Through their bond, Briar can feel his contentment growing, his pain receding slightly at her touch. The mate bond, she's learning, seems to have healing properties of its own. I also like talking with you, Briar admits, emboldened by the warmth of his response. Her fingers trace a hesitant pattern on his chest, feeling his heartbeat quicken beneath her touch. In fact, I like everything about you. West shifts, propping herself up on one elbow to look at her properly. You like me? He asks, sounding so hopeful it nearly breaks her heart. Briar takes a deep breath, gathering her courage. Love, she correct, clearing her throat. I love you, she adds, torn between looking away and cupping his face between her hands. The words hang between them, raw and honest. She feels the impact they have on him, a wave of such intense emotion it momentarily takes her breath away. "You don't have to say anything back," she adds quickly. "I know this is all complicated and—" West's hand comes to silence her, landing over her mouth. "Briar," he murmurs, "I've loved you since the moment you stood over me with that blade. I've just been waiting for you to catch up." The simple honesty in his words, the depth of feeling behind them, makes tears spring to her eyes. Through their bond, she can feel the truth of it. How he's held himself back, how he's contained his feelings, afraid of overwhelming her while she was still coming to terms with everything. "Well, you're crazy," she jokes, tearful. "I was trying to kill you, remember?" West laughs, the sound bright and clear. "Even so," he tells her warmly. He leans down, pressing his lips to his in a gentle kiss. Unlike their first passionate encounter, this is soft, reverent, a promise rather than a demand. She can feel his love washing over her, warm and steady as sunlight. And deeper than that, a profound relief. Relief that after all this time, after her hatred and suspicion, she's finally seen him for who he truly is. Her mate, entirely devoted to her. "What are we gonna do?" she asks when they part. West's eyes are shining with emotion. Briar settles back against him, her head on his chest. "We need to figure out how to help Elena and the others," he declares. "Do you think we can?" Briar asks, voicing her deepest fear. "Save them, I mean." "I don't know," West admits. "But we'll try. They're your sisters, even if they don't know it yet." The quiet determination in his voice fills her with gratitude. "Thank you," she whispers, pressing a kiss to his chest, right over his heart. "Thank you for not giving up on me." West's arms tighten around her, his love flowing through their bond. "You were always worth the wait, Briar. Always." They fall quiet again, content to simply be together, to feel the bond between them growing stronger with each passing moment. Outside, the sun begins to set, casting the room in golden light. Whatever comes next, they'll face it as one. It won't be easy. Briar knows that. The path ahead is uncertain, filled with challenges neither of them can predict. But she has her mate now. "Together," she murmurs, the word both a promise and a prayer. West presses a kiss to the top of her head, his voice soft but certain when he replies, "Together."